Dear participants, welcome to our Congress. Today's session is starting. Now, first, Mr. Afsar Amin is, I think he is not here, or Muhammed Hayat Khan, Adil Shahzad. I see that they are not here. Mr. Asifa Wari Bat. Mr. Asifa, Onkonus Asifa. I think you are here.
Hello.
Hello, pardon.
Yeah, sir, good morning.
Good morning. Now you can present your presentation.
Can I just take 5 minutes? Can I just take 5 minutes?
Okay, 5 minutes. We can wait.
Okay, thank you.
Miss Asifa, will we take another presentation, or we will wait you? Miss Asifa, will we take Mr. Istat Mot? He is here. Will we take him until you solve your problem, internet connection problem?
Yeah, Dr. Sarkar, 1 minute, please. Huh?
Yeah, 1 minute, okay.
Sharing my screen. Hello, Dr. Sarkar.
Yes, we can see both see and hear. It is very well.
Okay, shall I start?
Yes, you can start. 15 minutes, please.
Only 10 minutes?
10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. I'll try to finish within minutes.
Thank you.
Myself, Asifa Wali. Good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Today I'm presenting studies on maturation and spawning of rainbow trout on Coringus mycus. This fish belongs to Salmoniform order and Salmonidae family. It's from Kashmir Valley. Now let me start first of all with the introduction. This fish is very promising aquaculture candidate. It's in great demand. It has excellent nutritional profile. Besides that, it's a very powerful candidate for the sport fishery. But the major difficulties or constraints in its aquaculture or fisheries is the non-availability of seed due to low larval survival rate. And the bottlenecks for commercial production are the high mortality rate during the larval rearing, lack of which is due to lack of brood care, inappropriate feeds and feeding techniques, lack of standardized rearing environment. If we talk about reproductive aspect, basically the reproduction of fishes, especially the teleost, has received the considerable attention of fishery scientists since last few years because of the economic interest, as teleost are being extensively cultured in order to increase the fish production, right? If we see the examination of gonads or gametes of the fishes, it can be microscopic as well as macroscopic, like their color, volume, texture, and weight. And the space in the abdomen these gonads occupy have conventionally been used to study the gonadal development in fishes, which ultimately give us an indication of its seed production. However, this examination of gonad provide the precise information on the development and are thus inevitable. Regarding the over diameter studies, it has become an integral part of fishery biological research, and well known in most of their fishes. There's a marked seasonal periodicity in egg production. Clark, Hickling, Rutenberg, they have showed that it is possible to determine the time of spawning, the release of eggs, release of the seed, and the periodicity of fishes by the over diameter frequency studies, which I'll explain later on. The other authors like Karandikar and Polliker, Kuraker and Ball, among the others, have shown that this method is applicable in regard to the fishes they study. Gonadosomatic index, one of the powerful index used for most commonly to study the spawning season of fish. The gonads undergo the cyclical, morphological, and histological changes. These are indicative of the season of spawning. According to Panica, the biological success of individual fish, it should be defined as the number of the progeny, the number of the babies it produced in its lifetime that reach the sexual maturity compared to the similar number produced by the whole population during the same time period. Maximum lifetime production of the viable springs demands a decision on time of maturation in order to optimize the age schedule of reproduction. My sample collection, the study was basically the collection of 90 samples of the trout, which were in the length range of 220 to 350 millimeters and weight range of 85 to 505.5 grams, collected from 3 state-owned government-recognized trout farms like Achabal Trout Fish Farm in district Anantnag, Dachikam Trout Fish Farm in the district Srinagar, the main hub, Mahmud Trout Fish Farm in Gaunderbal district from every month in August 2015-2016, and were transported to the FRM laboratory, that is Fish Resource Management Laboratory, or you can say Biological Fishery Laboratory in Rungils, Coast. Now, the technical program, the study, as I say, it was carried out in this lab. You can see the background photograph as well. These were the three sites from which I have collected the samples. The fishes were dissected out, and the maturity stages for determining the development of gonads were recognized on the basis of macroscopic appearance and space it occupied in body cavity. And these gonads were carefully weighed and separately put in 10% neutral buffer formalin for over diameter studies, gonadosomatic calculations, and condition factor as well. The condition factor which will which shows the condition or the health condition of the fish from these three farms. The determination of spawning season through the over diameter studies, it was done by plotting monthly percentage occurrence of different maturity stages of the gonad, and for the diameter studies, intra-ovarian eggs, it was taken from preserved ovaries, and then the study was done by following the methods of Clark and Prabhu. Over diameter were taken from anterior, middle, and posterior portions of both ovaries examined and measured to minimum errors. A total of about 400 ova from each ovaries were examined and measured, and there were a total of 7,200 ova were measured through the digital vernier caliper true size. The measured ova then were grouped into 0.5 class intervals, and their frequency polygon was drawn graphically from three sites separately, as well as pooled frequency graph. The gonadosomatic index, it was calculated by the formula given by Desai, which I provide in next slide. In order to study this, the weight of each fish specimen corresponding to the ovary weight was measured to nearest 0.001 gram after wiping off the moisture. This is the formula of gonadosomatic index given by the SI 1970, weight of the gonad divided by total weight of the body multiplied by 100. Condition factor, as I say, it will give the health condition or the growth of the fish. It was the relationship between the length and the weight from individual fishes determined by Fulton's condition factor index, as it is the ratio of the weight divided by the length cube plus 10 raised to 5, where K represents the condition factor, W is the weight, and length L is the length. And the condition factor, it was calculated site-wise to observe any changes in the condition. Now my results. This is the descriptive statistics of ova diameter overall from the 3 sites, which showed the minimum ova diameter in stage first 1.19 mm and the maximum 6.01 in stage 6. This is the descriptive statistics of the trout, which shows the all the stages, and site-wise they significantly differ with the p-value of less than 0.01, highly significant. This is the ova diameter graph, which I talked about, the frequency polygon. Here, the mode A is clearly at stage, if we talk about stage 1, it is between 0 to 0.5 frequency. And here it is, it is at 1.01, then it reached to 6.51 in the stage 6. Gonadosomatic index of the trout site-wise at pooled, it shows the pooled, a minimum value in the August month and the highest value in the January month, as the gonadosomatic index, the indirect index for determining the productive maturity of the trout. It shows that fish will spawn in January month up to Feb. And if we talk about 3 sites, the minimum value were of Achabal site 0.82, and the highest value were of Dachigam site 21.39. This is this graphical presentation site-wise and pool of gonadosomatic index. And this is the monthly condition factor. It was highest for the Mama side. It was found that fishes were at seen in good conditions in Mama side, mainly because of their water quality of the race phase, or the geographical distribution or the climate there. All the other necessary parameters like pH, dissolved oxygen, temperature were seen suitable for the fish rearing, that trout rearing in those Mama trout fish farm. This is month-wise condition factor of the trout site-wide and pool. It clearly shows the highest values for the Murmur site. Now the conclusion of my study, it is basically a better understanding of reproductive biology of this species is, central aspect of providing the scientific advice for fishery management. Studies of the ova diameter, it will provide an insight about the productive development and spawning season and organism. GSI indicator of state of gonadal development and maturation, and tool for measuring sexual maturity of animals in correlation to the ovaries and testes development. The maturation of gonads in fish being associated with the increase in weight of gonad and is not exactly identical in male and females, and therefore represents an important productive parameter. The study of condition factor K, it is important for understanding the cycle of fish species and contributes to adequate management of these species and therefore to the maintenance of equilibrium in the ecosystem. Thank you.
We thank you, Prof. Asifa. Is there any question about the presentation of Prof. Asifa Vari? I think there is no other, there is not any question. Professor Dirfuza Orumava wants permission from us because she has some work to do. She is too busy, I understand that. She will cut it short, so she will make her presentation. After her, we will continue according to our list. Dirfuza, Prof. Dirfuza. Please, you can start, but cut it short, please.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm delighted to be with you all here. I'll try to cut short. I'm a lecturer at Bukhara State University in Translation Studies Department. So today my topic is about types of transformation, namely lexical transformations in translation. So when we talk about lexical transformations, we've got concretization, generalization, antonymic translation, metonymic translation, paraphrasing. As you all know, it's not an easy job to become an interpreter or translator because our main task is like to be pragmatic and to translate the meaning and to give the equivalent in the language in the target language. So if we speak about concretization, Russian is like second widely spoken language in my country. So a most frequent device in translation from English into Russian in this case. And there is a large group of English words of wide semantic volume, and they belong to different parts of speech, like nouns, adjectives, verbs, for instance, sing, point, staff, stand, and blah, and so on, or like words like to say, to go, to get, to come, to involve. And the meaning of such words is relatively vague. They can be used in different contexts, and their balance is extremely broad. A context, at least a micro context, is necessary to determine their meaning. For instance, he came in sight of the lodge, a long, low, frowning thing of red brick. And when we translate it into the target language, into Russian, we translate it like on увидел домик привратника. If we give like word for word translation, it will be like he saw the house of, and so on. And the next one is at the by-election victory event to the Labour candidate. So на дополнительных выборах победу одержал лейборист. That means like the Labourist won this election. Or the rain came in Taurus, полил сильный дождь. Another case, like for instance, so far 65 people have died in floods in Decca province, East Pakistan, Morning Star, 1933. So into Russian we translated like по имеющимся сведениям 65 человек утонуло во время наводнения в провинции Дакка, Восточный Пакистан. And if you translate it word for word, if I give you the translation like directly, it's like they drowned. Abstract nouns are often concretized in translation if there is no correlated abstract verb in Russian. For instance, so it's about Soviet Union record in medical care, like достижения Советского Союза в области здравоохранения. Or the next one, not infrequently concretization is resorted to as correlated generalizing words in English and in Russian have a different usage. Thus, the word limbs has a wider usage than the Russian члены. Limb, as we know, hands and legs. For instance, thank you, said Margaret, feeling large and awkward and clumsy in all her limbs. Благодарю вас, сказала Маргарет, чувствуя себя неловко и неуклюже и не зная, куда девать руки и ноги. Or another word, English word child, has a wider usage than its correlated Russian ребенок, and it's often concretized as мальчик, сын, дочка, дочь, деточка. For instance, no one knew with what passionate emotion she loved this child. Никто не знал, как страстно она любила своего сына. So another type of lexical transformation in translation is generalization. It's like the reverse of concretization. There is a tendency in the English language for differentiation where the Russian language is a more general word, рука, like hand and arm, нога, leg and foot, пальцы, fingers and toes. She was wearing a gold watch on her wrist. So you know we all know what is wrist, but when we translate it into Russian, we give it like with a better word, in this case with hand, if we translate. In some cases, also there is a generalization. In some cases, also there is an equivalent in the target language at the same level of abstraction. Generalization may be desirable for purely stylistic reasons. For instance, since the shooting of Robert Kennedy 5 days ago, about 9 Americans have been shot dead. Taken from Guardian, 1968. За те 5 дней, которые прошли после убийства Роберта Кеннеди, около 90 американцев погибло от огнестрельного оружия. Also, sometimes generalization used in rendering non-equivalence. For instance, summary court, disciplinary suit. Summary court is not only a disciplinary court, but the least formal one, consisting of one officer, and etc. Antonymic translation. Sometimes, to give a better color to the translated text, we use antonyms. And it's a kind of grammatical and lexical transformation which substitutes an affirmative construction for a negative or vice versa with some accompanying lexical change, usually substituting the antonym for the original verb. For instance, keep the child out of the sun. Не держите ребенка на солнце. If we translate the Russian equivalent word for word, it will be like, don't keep the child under the sun, in the sun. So under the sun, out of the sun. My precious wife, said I, we must be serious sometimes. Charles Dickens. Моя драгоценная женушка, сказал я, нельзя же вечно смеяться и шутить. My aunt and I, when we were left alone, talked far into the night, how the immigrants never wrote home otherwise than cheerfully and hopefully. So here in the English version, there is never, but in translation, it is replaced with always in Russian one. Оставшись вдвоем, мы с тетушкой до глубокой ночи говорили о том, что уехавшие всегда писали веселые письма, полные надежд. Metonymic translation. It's a lexical transformation based on the substitution of contiguous concepts. On Capitol Hill, residents have been assaulted on their porch, in their garage, or while waiting for a bus, sometimes within full view of other citizens too frightened to move. So, waiting for a bus here is replaced like with at the bus stop. В районе Капитолия на жителей нападали у входа в дом, в их гаражах или на остановке автобуса, иногда на глазах у других граждан, слишком напуганных, чтобы хоть пальцем пошевелить. So another transformation type is paraphrasing, which is rendering the meaning of some idiomatic phrase in the source language by a phrase in the target language consisting of non-correlated lexical units. For instance, good riddance, скатертью дорога. It's like, in Uzbek, we've got ok yol, which means, wish you like a good trip. In for penny, in for pound. Назвался груздем, полезай в кузов. Взялся за гуш, не говори, что не дюж. A phraseological unit is rendered by a corresponding Russian phraseological unit expressing the same idea in different words. And I would like to say about, state about the role of set expressions. For instance, there are some expressions which are kind of derived from the cultural matters. For instance, if we want to say, let's compare two units. We have got this saying in English, don't take charcoal to Newcastle, because Newcastle is rich in charcoal. It's like it would be such a waste to take charcoal there because it's so cheap there. And the same thing equivalent in Russian, don't take timber to the wood, to the forest, because Russia is rich in forest. And in Uzbek, which is like surprisingly, I don't know, it seemed to be funny, like don't take your wife on vacation. So it's like, it's folk saying. Okay, that was my presentation. We are working on the translation of stories now with my students, and the research we are doing is mostly grounded on the outcomes of this work. Thank you very much. Professor?
We thank you, Professor Dilfuza Orumova.
Thank you.
Is there any question to Professor Dilfuza? I think there is no other question. Although the first rank is Mr. Afsan Amin, but Mr. İstat Bongt wants to present his research now. I think he has some work to do. He is too busy. Am I right? And I ask Mr. Afsar Amin, he gives permission to Mr. İstat. Mr. İstat, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Pardon, Miss İsrat. Professor, if you are ready, you can present your research, please.
Okay, sir.
We will be glad if you cut it short, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It is
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Alaikum
My
salam.
name is Israt, and I have done a PhD in fisheries. I have the specialization in the fisheries resource management. I'm sharing my screen now.
No, not yet.
You can share, but it is not seen. Yes, no, I think it is starting. Now it stops. Professor İsrat, if you want, you can just talk and present your research. PowerPoint is not necessary. It will be better, but it is not necessary. Professor İsrat. Professor İsrat.
Okay, sir. Sir, it will take a while. Just I'm opening it. Sir, is it now visible?
Yes, we can see it now very well.
Okay. Well, sorry for this. I'm going to present now.
Yes.
Well, my research title is the spawning induction of the common carp using the ootide injection in Kashmir. Introduction. Well, reproduction in fishes, we see it is controlled mainly by the hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis. There is a complete intervention of the reproductive cycle, which is a prerequisite for the development of its efficient breeding program. The main factors that are involved in the reproduction of fish are mainly the gonadotropins and steroids. We see here the figure which clearly indicates that the reproduction mechanism is basically based on the cycle between the brain, hypothalamus, pituitary, and the gonadal axis. Under the natural conditions and environmental stimuli, stimuli are detected by the brain, then they release their secretions to regulate the ovulation in fish. The most important reproductive hormone is the gonadotropin releasing hormone that regulate the gonadotropin hormone. These releasing hormone then stimulate the pituitary to release into the general circulation the hormone whose target organ is the gonad. These hormones are called the gonadotropins, and they influence the production of sex steroid in the gonad itself. Estradiol 17 beta is synthesized by the oocyte follicular layer, and this steroid then stimulates the liver to produce the vitellogenin as a yolk precursor. When vitellogenesis is complete, GTH stimulates the MIH maturation inducing hormone, and then it induces the germinal vesicle breakdown in the oocytes. Over the years, we are using the hormonal approach to the fisheries, and mainly today what we are using is the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is used in a culture system during the past decade to control the reproduction in fishes. Mainly, we induce the fish by two type of the hormones. One is the natural and other synthetic. And my study was all about the synthetic hormones. We used the overtide hormone to see the impact on its the fish. For experiment, we chose the common carp fish, where it is a commercially desirable fish and is very widely cultured species among the sprinid fish because of its wide range tolerance to the environmental fluctuations. For our experimental design, we divided the brood stock into the four groups. Sorry, first is a control and other T3 group and other three groups of where the fishes were induced with the different dosages of overtide injection. First fishes were conditioned and they were placed injected at the base of the pectoral fin. And after the results, what we get here that we see that after injection, when fish started to spawn, it was found that in the treated group, this spawning time was found very less compared to the control groups. It means that our injection was effective in causing the reduction in the time between the between the injections and the control group, which were where we don't induce the fish. Second was a parameter we studied was the spawning fecundity. Spawning fecundity is actually the egg number, how many eggs we got from the fish. We see here that the treatment groups again showed the better egg number in fishes compared to the control group, and the results it showed that T2 showed the better results. After then, we study the fertilization rate. Fertilization rate is all about when we mix the eggs and the sperms of the fish in an enamel bowl. It was found, and after that, it occurred just after the 2-3 hours after when they are being stripped. We see that the fertilization rate was found highest in the T2 groups, and after that a hatching rate when the fertilization in 2-3 days the hatching was found in the fishes. We see the highest rate in the T3 group. Now the conclusion of my study is that the observation of the present study indicated that different doses of the overtide shows the better spawning performance compared to the control. So it summarizes that the commercial scale seed production of common through induced breeding technique using the overtide. Since this method is simple, cost effective, and this can be used by the farmers for the seed production. Thank you.
We thank Professor İzzat. Is there any question to Professor İzzat Mohd, Faruz Bat, and Birar Bat? I think there is no other question. Thank you very much. Now, our first rank is Mr. Afsar Amin. Mr. Afsar Amin, are you here? The first rank.
Yes, sir, I am here, sir.
Okay, you can start your presentation. Please 10 to 15 minutes, your presentation.
Okay, sir. So, first of all, sir, I would like to add the screen, sir, with you, sir. So, if you
yes,
guide
you
me.
can share. I give permission to you.
Okay, sir.
Green button at the bottom, share screen button.
Yes, sir. So it's tough to find here, sir. So I would like to proceed like this, sir.
Okay, you can.
In order to don't waste time, sir. So okay, sir. So first of all, sir, I would like to introduce myself, sir. My name is Afzal Amin, sir, and I am from Pakistan, sir. I have done my BS in political science with a distinction of gold medal, sir, and recently, sir, I have done MPhil, and now I'm pursuing PhD, sir. Sir, the today's topic of presentation is the impact of use drone strikes in Pata and how it impacts the people. So we would like to start in this way, sir, that for example, sir, First of all, in introduction, if I say, sir, that in first instance, it will be determined and ascertain that whether the drone strikes in Pata kill civilians or not, because the authorities in the America constantly denying any civilian death and casualties from the drone strikes. So by this way, the warfare continue unbated and with no concept of accountability, apparatus, and moral apprehensions. However, these things do happen in Pata despite their constant denial. So we will find out that whether it happened there or not. So if we look to the history of drone strike in Pata, the very first drone strike happened in the year of 2004 in the month of January, in which the U.S. troops tried to target the Al Qaeda and Taliban. It is very good thing, sir, because you can use technology in order to secure and current to make your own army safe, sir. But at the same time, it is very dangerous for the innocent civilians, because along these terrorists, you are killing so many others innocent people, which is extremely dangerous. And these people then can be easily recruited by the militant groups, because in Pukhtunkhwa or in Fata region, we have a code of life to which we call Pushtun Wali. It means to say that they will never forget nor forgive their revenge in any case. They will take their revenge at any case, and they will never ever forgive you. So for that, this war is continuously growing on and on and on. Despite to decrease this war on terror, actually it is promoting, because for example, if there is a terrorist in a home and you strike on him with the help of drone strike, so you are not only killing that person, along with him you are killing certain other innocent people. So that is the real problem which is promoting this war on terror. So we have certain examples of this in our region. And but prior to that, I will say that why we are going for this uh, drone strike. So for example, sir, if we look at, in order to find out that the actual effects and figures of the drone strikes in technology and organization in United States of America, the new American Foundation took an initiative to do research and found out the number of civilians who died in these strikes. So they focused on the different newspapers, both national as well as international newspaper, and collect data from it regarding the drone strikes casualties. These papers are the Telegraphs, the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Guardian, the Daily Times, Geo TV, BBC, Geo TV, CNN. So they focused on different source of media, and they did research. So when they did that, the database reported and suggested that the United States drone strikes killed about 454 and 600, between 454 and 637 innocent civilian only from the year of 2004 to 2013. So it's a very huge target. But it's not, you are not only killing 600 to 700 innocent people. It means that you are recruiting thousands of people into this war or terror against the United States of America, and definitely it will damage the Pakistan forces also, and it will also in counter attack. They also attack on the innocent civilians of Pakistan. So it is a very dangerous thing, and it need to be addressed by the US people. For example, sir, we have another example on October 2012. A report was published from an international newspaper. According to their report, a 68-year-old woman known as Manama Bibi, who became the victim of this hellfire missiles fired at her from drone technology in the village of Gundi Kale, North Waziristan. So Manama Bibi was collecting vegetables from her field when she was hit by the drone strike, along with a certain amount of the a certain amount along with her grandchild. So and apart from that, they also destroyed their home in that strike, sir. So this is one example for us. There is also another example. For example, uh, in Forta region, Yes, sir. We can take another example of TTP leader Baitullah Masood. He was a, yes, of course, no doubt he was a terrorist. He was against Pakistan and the United States of America, and it's a very good thing to kill him, sir. This drone strike happened on 5th August 2009 in South Waziristan at his village Zangada. So in this drone attack conducted by the U.S. authority, Baitullah Masood was killed. He was not the only person who was killed. He was killed. Along with him, certain other civilians were also killed. We have also another example. For example, in South Waziristan, we have a jarga system. It's like a meeting, a grand meeting of the we can say the elders of the different tribes. They get together and they decide certain things. They decide certain things for the family. They do certain decisions. So and almost all of the members of the Jarga was killed in another drone strike. So these things highly promote the revenge, the concept of revenge among the Pashtun societies. Now, in Pashtun societies, there are two main kind of dominance of Pashtun. One is honor, and second one is revenge. So these are the two main characteristics of Pashtun societies: the honor, the respect, and the revenge. They will take the revenge. So revenge is commonly known as badal in our own local language, and the people also locally call it and signifies vendetta, or in another simple word, revenge killing. So revenge or badal is a tradition of Pashtun, giving it highly importance. It is based on certain principles that are eye for eye and tooth for tooth. So there is a Pashto proverb: kill one enemy and you make 10. So it means to say that if the United States of America is really interested to eradicate the extremism and terrorism from this region, so you are not only just killing one terrorist, but you are making 10 more enemies, because you are also killing the innocent civilian along with the terrorists. So these collateral damages are extremely dangerous, and it need to be addressed. So for this, I will conclude my research paper here because of the time, sir. So the study tries to explore the revenge radicalization nexus in the FATA region, that how the United States of America drone strikes are affecting the local people, the common innocent local people, and how it's promoting the war on terror. For example, I have given 2-3 examples. The people who were innocents and the people who were killed in those strikes, later on their family members became the part of the extremism. They were recruited by the Taliban, and they were recruited by the Al Qaeda later on. So I think that the United States of America should focus, also its allies should focus upon the thing that they should not only kill civilian, but they should kill clearly. They have to do a main and clear distinctions to find out that who are innocents and who are the terrorists. And so there are certain policy recommendations, sir, in order to reduce the chances of collateral drone strike be conducted in a day, in a clear sky. Moreover, terrorists may be targeted only when they are in open spaces. Those hiding among civilians in houses should not be targeted. The chance of civilian deaths are significantly high in such places. The authorities in the US may disclose information to the public about these who have been killed in drone strikes so far, including both civilians and miscreants. For the purpose, a free and transparent survey may be conducted under the auspices of United Nations in the collaboration with the government of Pakistan and the American State Department to ascertain certain exact of the casualties. And the American authorities should apologize clearly for any damage to consoles. They should not deny it, because if you are denying it, it is not the solution. The American have to acknowledge that yes, the collateral damage do happen in the FATA region. So hope, sir, I have done it, sir. And if you have any question, I am here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Afsar Amin. Is there any question to Mr. Afsar Amin? I think there is no any question. Now, the third presentation is also, I think, the fourth one. Mr. Birad Ahmet. Mr. Birad Ahmet.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, just you can start, please.
Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to everyone. Myself, Dr. Bilal Ahmed. I am from Kashmir. Should I share, sir, screen?
Yes, you can share.
The title of my topic is A Study on Companionship and Attitude of Students Towards Animals During Current COVID-19 Pandemic in Kashmir Valley. A sample survey.
Okay.
Sir, I am actually from my subject is statistics. So I will try to apply statistical tools here. Net is slow. Screen is visible or not, sir?
The green button at the bottom, share screen.
Yes, sir, I'm sharing. So should I continue, sir? Still it works.
Yes, you can continue, please.
Thank you, sir. We see humans have a long history of a relationship with the domestic animals, and nowadays pets often act as a social substitute through bonding. There is some evidence that pets present at home may induce well-being in people and the development of social skills in children. Humans are considered as the best creation of God on earth. So it is their responsibility to take care of everything, including animals. God has given humans the right to use animals for their survival, but they are expected to do so humanly and sustainably. Animals play a role in each religious sacrifice, meals, and ceremonies. Each religion values animals differently. While some people view animals as sacred based on their religions they follow, others merely see them as a source of food. We see Islam guides us to treat animals well, and they are not allowed to kill animals except for food. Only in limited cases, animals are allowed to be killed when they endanger the life of the human. In addition, Islam prohibits the use of animals as targets for shooting. In a well-hadith, Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "A woman who tied a cat will go to hellfire. She neither fed it nor allowed it to find food on its own." So this means we have to be very careful. The Quran is full of stories about animals and chapters named after some animals too. We have Surah Baqarah, Surah Anam. Similarly, we have Surah Nahl, Surah Namal, Surah Ankabut, Surah Adiyat, and Surah Fil. In these surahs, there is a detail of animals, how they play their role. And we see there are many stories in Holy Quran about the animals. The crow that Allah sent to Adam salam, son in order to show him how to hide the dead body of his brother. Similarly, we have the bird that Ibrahim salam, had killed and divided upon the mountain tops, and then Allah gave them life again. Similarly, Israel that Musa salam, ordered to be slaughtered in order to disclose the identity of a mistress murder. the wolf that was falsely accused of eating Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, the Hupi of Sulaiman alayhi salam that informed him about the Queen of Sheba. Similarly, we have the termite that ate the staff of Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, on which he was leaning while he was sitting dead on his chair. After the termite had eaten through the wood, the Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam fell down and his death became known. Then we have Uzair's donkeys, whom Allah put to death for 100 years and then gave it life once again, right in front of his owner's eyes. Then we have the story of the whale that swallowed Prophet Yunus alayhi salam for a while and then threw him out to the land because he was among those who praise Allah. Then we have the story of Ashab Kahf, the dog of the people of the cave that slept with them for 309 years. Then we have the story of Sulaiman's aunt and that had called the aunts to escape to their dwellings. Lest Sulaiman alayhi salam and his hosts crushed them while they perceived not. A brass elephant that was ordered to destroy the Kaaba but was frozen in its place because of his fear of Allah, and so he could not proceed. We see since thousands of years, animals have followed humans with a deep relationship forged between people and other creatures. History is witness that we have seen the people who are buried near to the animals, next to the animals. Animals as well as humans were buried close to each other. This means they have the close relationships since 1,000 years. Now, the attitude of the public is of major importance and of primary concern for animal welfare, and thus any change in the science of animal welfare must be in line with the principles and attitude of the public. The public attitude toward captive animals differ depending on the characteristics and nature of the animals concerned. Cultural, social, and religious disparities often play a key role in shaping the views of the public towards captive animals. We assume there are a number of studies that are related to the attitude and mostly targeting students. These studies have discovered that educated people are more concerned about the welfare of animals than those that have lower education. That is the reason for choosing educated people in the present study. Most students have an appreciation for animals on the emotional and recreational levels in comparison to the more realistic and utility-based viewpoints of adults. They appear to display love as well as concern for them. Now we have seen in present COVID situations, the first case of COVID was reported in Hong Kong in 2020. There is a lot of concern whether animals they are COVID positive or there is a threat to animals or we have threat from the animals. That is a big problem. So it is very important under these conditions we must know what is our role, how we have to treat these animals. I'm telling they are very important for us. So it is very important. We have to take care of these. As humans, we have the responsibility to take care of ourselves and the nature. Because being the Ashraful Makhlukat, we call ourselves. So on the basis of these things, we choose our study. Now in this study, we choose 100 students via offline and online mode for the current study. Then we use a well-designed questionnaire for collecting the information from the targeted population. The results of our study are given as shown in table 1. We pose different questions, then record the responses. We see, I do not think that there is anything wrong with using animal in medical research. Here we see majority of the respondents disagree. They see without any logic. We cannot sacrifice the animals. There should be some logic. Similarly, we pose many questions. Second, there should be extremely severe penalties, including jail sentence for people who participate in cockfighting. So, as I have
Is there any question? I think Mr. Birar Ahmed. I see that there is no question. So, Mr. Birar Ahmed, you can continue by your second presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So here we conclude, COVID pandemic is causing widespread concern, depression, and anxiety among the people all over the world. It has produced enormous effect on humans as well as on animals. In recent years, with more forums on animal protection organized by animal rights organizations and the extensive publicity of social media on caring for animals, students and study views on the human-animal relationship have gradually changed and are paying greater attention to the animal welfare and animal rights. A significant difference was found in attitude towards animals between students who owned a pet and those who didn't. It is concluded that government and NGOs should support people and aware them about issues related to deadly disease, COVID-19, and animals. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor. I think you completed both of
Thank you,
your
sir.
research. Am I right?
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Any suggestion, sir?
Any question? I think there is no question. Thank you very much, Mr. Birar Ahmet.
Thank you.
Now, I think the Tabassum Ara, Adiz
Yes, sir.
Hocam, and
Yes, sir,
Bilal
I'm
Ahmet again. So you can present your presentation.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. You cannot share the current. Sir, please, sir, you end your screen, sir. Bilal, sir. I cannot share it.
Oh, yes, yes. Yes, I'm doing.
We see, Professor.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
now,
sir.
not now.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Share
sir, should I
screen
share
at
it
the
now?
bottom. Share screen at the bottom. Green button.
Yes, sir. यहाँ से करूँगी इस पे. Sir,
If you cannot share, you can just
sir,
talk
just
about
few
your
seconds.
result.
Yes, sir. Sir, few seconds. I'll do it. Yes, sir. And then- एक second.
Professor Tabassum, if you have difficulty in sharing, so you can just talk about your presentation.
Sir, just few minutes, sir. Wait.
Okay, few minutes.
6, 3, 7, 3, 6, 2, 9.
Professor Tabassum. Okay. We can see your PowerPoints. Professor Tabassum, we can see your PowerPoint very well.
We can see it, sir.
We can see, you can start, please. Professor Tabassum, you can start, please. Professor Tabassum, are you here? Professor Tabassum, please start.
इसमें हो गया ना ये.
Okay, we can both see and hear you very well. Please start.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. I'm Tabassum from Kashmir, India. I'm pursuing my PhD in pharmacology at. So first of all, I am highly thankful to Professor Sarkant for giving us this beautiful opportunity to present our paper. So this is a collab paper, and the contributors are Dr. Bilal Ahmed Bhatt and Miss Arzu and me. So let me start my presentation with the introductory slide. So apart from the health, COVID-19 pandemic, it has profoundly affected the social, psychological behavior of the people. It has also affected the lifestyle behavior. Most of the countries, what they have done for the containment of this virus, they have imposed various restrictions in the form of lockdown, in the form of social distancing, closure of educational institutions and business. So since COVID-19 pandemic, it has not directly affected the natural resources, but it has strongly affected the agro-food based systems at different levels of processing, ranging from processors, producers to consumers. As a consequence, it has led to the global food emergency. So in our case of study, the Kashmir Union Territory of India, which is totally an agro-based state, it is totally dependent upon 70% of the population is dependent upon the agriculture and allied activities directly or indirectly. So COVID-19, it has affected the state's economy, and there has been a negative impact on the food buying and consumption. And so like we have increased food prices, overconsumption, etc. So what were the material and methods which we have used in our study? We have designed a questionnaire which was used to collect the information from 400 respondents offline and online through random selection through offline and online from Central Kashmir. And we computed it by a given formula, which is given there, sample size. And then what was the research hypothesis? Hypothesis one, there will be a no significant difference in opinion between the rural and urban respondents under study. In order to test this hypothesis, we use the Mann-Whitney U-test, which is given by this formula. And hypothesis two, there will be non-significant difference in the opinion related to the impact of COVID-19 on the quality of food between urban and rural people. So to test this hypothesis, we use the chi-square test. So what were the results? 400 respondents between the age group of 20 and 65 years people. The sample was collected from them. So I'll show the table which shows the distribution of study population as per characteristics, like as per residence in urban and rural people. Majority of the respondents were from urban areas, that was 59.5%. And according to the education status, it was the literate people who are more involved in this, 77.25%. According to the family status, middle class families were more involved. They were the 91.5% respondents from Kashmir. Family type, nuclear family involved, 79.75%. And family size, majority of the respondents were 61.5%, 5 to 6 family members. So apart from the table, we have also the graphical representation of the respondents from the rural and urban areas. From urban areas, we have 83.5%, and from rural areas, we have 74.5%, from which we collected the source of information. And it has been followed by family and friends, 16.5% in urban and 25.5% from girls. So other results are, what are the behavioral change of buying food and consuming food during the COVID-19 pandemic? So we have used for the calculation of this 5-point Likert scale. If it is much less, then it's equal to 1. If it's slightly less, then it is 2. If it's about same, then it's equal to 3. If it's moderately more, then it's 4. If it's much more, then it's 5. So accordingly, we can see here, buying local food, urban and in rural areas, there was a little bit change, but it was almost same in urban and rural areas. Accordingly, buying food in person from a large supermarket, it was same in urban and rural, and buying food in person from small supermarket or grocery store in urban and rural areas, there was a less change, but there was a more change in ordering the groceries online. So there was more change in this. Having meals delivery directly, there was a little change, but in urban and rural areas, it was same. So like other results, we have changing of eating habits and drinking habits during the COVID-19 pandemic. Fruits and vegetables in urban areas, they were taken, there was a less change in, it was a little but same in urban and rural areas. Meat, there was a less change in taking the meat. This might be because of the non-science fact that people were thinking that meat might be a source of virus. It may be the host for the virus, but there is opposite of that. It's highly proteinaceous. If we could have taken this meat, it could have boosted our immunity. So other are healthy foods. Urban and rural areas, same change. Likewise, unhealthy foods, drinking water in urban and rural areas, same change. Candy, cookies, cakes, and pastries in urban rural areas, there was a less change in this. And healthy snacks, there was a less change in this in urban and rural areas. Unhealthy snacks, likewise in packaged frozen foods in urban and rural areas, there was a less change in this. Canned food in urban and rural areas, less change in this. So there was also a change in food-related activities during the COVID-19 pandemic, like cooking and preparing food in urban and rural areas. There was a same change in this. Eating with family members in urban and rural areas, same change in urban and rural areas. Spending a lot of time cooking, urban and rural areas, there was a less change in this. So eating meals between meals, eating snacks in urban and rural areas, there was more change in this. Making easy meals, for example, instant foods and frozen foods, there was a change, but same in urban and rural areas. Eating at home alone in urban and rural areas, there was a change, but same in both of these. So ordering takeaway or fast food meals with deliveries in urban and rural areas, there was a same change. Then eating at someone else's place, there was also a less change in this. This might be a threat of contacting the virus. And eating out at restaurants, this was also less. There was less change in urban and rural areas. So we also collected the information from the people who agreed about the impact of COVID-19 on food quality. It was 64.2% and 41.3% from urban and rural areas. And people who disagreed about that, they were 35.7% and 58.64% from rural areas. So we also collected the knowledge from 68.5% from elders, relatives 47.5%, friends 31.5%, and 23.5% from print and electronic media. So what we concluded from our study is that it has a major shift. COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, it has impacted on the change attitude and behavior of the people towards food and health, as they have been spending a lot of time at home and there was no accessibility. There was less accessibility of dining out. So no doubt there has been a clear change noticed during the COVID-19 in the way consumers were eating, shopping, and interacting around food. So the research highlighted the numerous key consumer trends that are currently shaping the food and health habits in Kashmir. And there has been a positive change that as compared to the pre-COVID-19 situation, people, COVID-19 pandemic consumers, they have consumed healthy foods. They have stopped the consumption of unhealthy foods, or we can say they have taken a less unhealthy foods like fast food, unhealthy snacks, candies, cookies, cakes, and pastries, and they have shifted to the more highly proteinaceous and more fresh fruits, vegetables, healthy snacks, and they have there has been a drinking more water during the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's concluded that people consume healthy diet compared to the pre-COVID-19 situation. Hence, the COVID-19 pandemic has shifted the consumers' behavior towards a more sustainable diet and to follow the health ministry guidelines. So thank you for having me. Any questions?
We thanks Professor Tabassum. Is there any question to Professor Tabassum? I think there is no other question. In the seventh ranked, we have Sidrat Muntaha Anes and Sherup Aya Shara and Bilal Ahmed. Mr. Sidrat.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Yes, Professor Sidrat, you can start, please. 10 to 15 minutes, please.
Okay, sir. So I would like to share my screen.
Yes.
Just please let me know if
Okay.
you're able to just see my screen or not. So is my screen visible?
It
So
is
is my
just
screen visible?
it is just started. Yes, it's visible.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, sir. So actually, my topic is somewhere related to the topic which has been already discussed, but there is a slight change. So basically, I've worked on the impact of COVID-19 on the daily life in Kashmir Valley, on the people, on the daily lives of people in Kashmir Valley. So it's basically a collaboration work. We have 3 authors in this work. So I will just briefly, I will just skip the introduction part because there is not something new which I will discuss. Already we know a lot about coronavirus disease, COVID-19, and how it has shown a phenomenal increase as far as the different parts of the world are concerned. So directly coming to the global scenario. So the number of cases, although in many parts of the country there has been control over the increasing number of cases, but there are still certain parts. For example, if we talk about India, the cases are still rising. And again, because my study area is Kashmir Valley, so in when we see the time period between March and May, there has been a phenomenal increase. But due to the lockdowns, strict lockdowns, and closure of all social institutions, all places where we have a lot of social gatherings. So now we are seeing a declining trend in the number of cases. So I'm not going into the into the details. So I will directly come to the topic. So as far as this month of April and May is concerned, there was a very rapid increase in the number of cases. Again, because of the lock. But now the government imposed the lockdown from the last week of April. So because of that, now we are seeing a declining trend in the number of cases. But how being in lockdown since last year, there has been the daily lives of people have changed in different ways. So basically, my study revolves around that. So basically, questionnaires have been used in order to collect the data. And in some cases, we had group discussions or face-to-face interviews, because the data was collected both in the times of lockdown and after lockdown. And both offline and online sources were used in order to collect the data. So in total, we collected data from 400 respondents, mainly about the age of 20 years. Because again, the questions which were asked to the respondents, they need to understand what questions we were basically asking. So that's why we preferred people about the age of 20 years. And a stratified random sampling technique was used in order to collect the collect the sample, and then the data was further tabulated and analyzed using certain softwares in order to get the results. So, so directly coming to the results and discussions. So when we talk about the data which we have collected, so majority of the respondents were literate, falling in both, if we talk about males and females, the category of both genders. So most of the respondents were literate and belonging to nuclear families, and as far as the economic status was concerned, so they belong to middle class families and were living in urban areas. So because again, when we talk about economic status, family status, it has a lot to do with how people think and how they responded to the different questions which were asked through the various questionnaires. So there has, as far as the study is concerned, in certain parameters, we find a change in the behavior of people. For example, because during lockdowns, people are spending most of the times in their homes. So they have not skipped their meals or snacks which they take between the meals. But there has been a change in the quantity of meals which they are taking, or the quantity of snacks. And again, we see a change in the intake of fruits and vegetables and balanced diet. So again, because of the lockdown, when we talk about fresh fruits and vegetables, people are not able to get them. So again, that affects the intake, how people can obtain these items, because again, we need fresh fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. But because of the lockdowns, they are not able to get. So that has affected their intake of fresh fruits and vegetables, and ultimately a balanced diet. So so again, I've already discussed these points. So then when we talk about other parameters, like for example, we don't see a change in the consumption of junk or fast food. So again, as far as the recent lockdown is concerned, so different fast food producing and delivering restaurants have been given the permission to go for home delivery. So again, people get such things because of, again, you can online order these items. So there has not been a change in the consumption of these fast and junk foods, again sweetened beverages, and consumption of sweets and chocolates and other foods. Okay? So again, which is not healthy for people. And again, being one of the main reason again is that people are spending most of the time in their families, because again, and it's summer, so because of the they prefer to stay indoors. So again, the tendency to eat has increased. So because of that, also they take these types of foods which are not healthy for them. So again, how people are spending their time. So again, we can see, because they are getting getting more time to spend with their families. So people are involved in various household works, and people are trying new recipes. So again, because they have got time, most of the people are working from home. So again, they get more time to spend with their families. So we can take that as a positive, in a positive way, that the family bondings have increased. People are getting more time, because everything can't be taken in a negative sense. We can take some positive things also from the different things which are going on around in our life. So again, like I said, people are involved in cooking new recipes, and there has been an increase in the intake of immunity boosting foods, nutrition supplements, in order to boost the immunity. Because again, people want to prevent COVID-19. So being at home, how they are using social media networks in order to gain information regarding these things. So there has been an increase in the intake of immunity boosting foods. so that people can increase and boost their immunity. And again, there has been an increase in the interest of people in order to learn about healthy eating tips. What are the different types of food items which they can include in their daily meals, with the help of which they can their body can become resistant and immune against such type of disease. So then again, like I said, people are getting more time in their home, so they are getting involved in household chores, and they are spending, but they are also spending more time watching TV, and the usage of mobile phones has also increased. So the exposure to screen, the screen time exposure has increased. So again, that is harmful, especially for children, because educational institutions are closed. So their screen exposure, the time they need to give to screens, that has increased. And also people are experiencing increase in the stress levels, especially those people who are unemployed, or mostly students who don't get time to interact with their friends, with their other classmates personally. So again, due to that, the stress and anxiety levels among the people have increased. Then when we look at the responses gender-wise, so majority of the people, or be it males or females, they believe that COVID-19 has resulted in social isolation, because again, because of the social distancing, people are not able to visit their nears and dears. So again, and if in a family there are positive cases, so they need to isolate themselves. So that has increased the social isolation. Then when we look at the various parameters that the respondents, how they believe that what are the different aspects which are of which we need to take into consideration. So a majority of the respondents believe that health services have been affected, how they obtain food and grocery, that has been affected because of the again, because of the lockdowns. Again, people need to visit hospitals, but they also need to avoid them because of the increasing cases. So they are not able to, and if they need to, if they consult the doctor on phones also, again, that doesn't satisfy the patient, because he or she wants to personally meet the doctor in order to discuss about whatever ailment they are having. So majority of the people believe that the major concerns are health services, food and grocery, and again, social interactions. And again, some other parameters which are not of much concern. They include banking facilities or water services, or energy supplies, because there are certain facilities which we can, their works which we can do online. So again, they believe that those sectors are not much affected. But when we talk about sectors like transportation or health services, so majority of the respondents believe that these are the sectors which are highly affected because of the lockdowns and because of this pandemic. Again, like social interactions. So again, this pandemic has affected how people socially interact with each other. In case of unemployed youth, the job stability has been affected. Although majority of the people are working from home, but there are still those sectors in which one needs to go personally for that is the demand of certain jobs. So again, some believe that their job stability, because of the lockdown, the job stability has been affected. And again, the education sector has also been affected because there is a lot of difference in an offline and online class. There are certain certain subjects in which the online classes are not sufficient in order to make students understand the various concepts. So again, I would like to conclude that there has been no change in the eating habits, although there has been an increase in the quantity of meals people are taking. Again, there has been a decrease in the intake of fresh fruits and vegetables, again, which affects the balanced diet of a person. But people have started including immunity boosting foods in their daily meals in order to make their bodies more immune. People are getting more involved in household works, but again, the screen time has increased, again, which can be harmful in the long run. And again, majority of the respondents believe that there has been an increase in the stress and anxiety levels. Is there any question?
Is there any question? Mr. Afsar Amin, do you have any question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have a question, sir.
Okay, you can ask this.
Sir, it was a great topic, sir. I have already done a research paper on this topic, sir. My question is that when I was conducting my research paper, sir, I have found it, sir, that the husband and wives, especially, they are spending more time with each other, and due to that, they are fighting more as compared to normal, sir. So, have you done any research on that, sir? And do the same data came with you? What is the ratio of the husband and wife fighting in Kashmir? In Pakistan, we have done a research on this, particularly in KP, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and we have come to the conclusion that they are fighting more as compared to the normal during this pandemic. So, what is the status of fighting the Kashmiri's
I
husband
have
and
not
wife?
collected data on that because again, there is certain information which the respondents would not like to share. Again, I totally agree with you because people are spending more time in households, and again there is a difference in the psychology of males and females. Females can spend a lot of time being in their homes, but males have a different type of attitude. Keeping them in bondage is not always is easy. So those lockdowns have again affected the stress levels. So maybe because of that, these things, the cases of domestic violence, although I have read certain papers in which there has been an increase, but I have not worked on that parameter. But I have read certain reports in which the study which has been conducted, they have seen that there has been an increase in domestic violence cases. So again, because of more interaction, again, when you're with your family, you're spending more time, you're getting more time in interacting with each other. Then again, there may be some issue which, again, there are small issues, they become bigger issues and can cause these types of fights and quarrels. So again, I totally agree with you because again, everything has a positive and negative side. So,
Yes.
but I have read certain studies in which there has been, people have seen an increase in the domestic violence because people are getting more time to interact with each other. Otherwise, when there is no lockdown, people, mostly males, they spend most of the day in their offices, at workplaces. So the interaction, the level of interaction is decreased. So
Yes.
maybe because of that, because they are getting more time to interact with each other, and they just need a smaller reason. So again, every quarrel and yes,
it was a great research paper. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, madam.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Is there any other question?
No. Is there any question? No, I think there is no other question.
Okay, thank you.
So Mr. Jericho is not here, I think. Is he here? He is not here. So Miss Sinka Yaipabi, Gitika, Professor Gitika, or Sinka Yaipabi. Sinka Yaipabi. Sinka Yaipabi or Mr. Gitika. Mr. Gatika, do you hear me? So our next 10th in the 10th round. Okay, you can, Mr. Gatika, can you open your microphone? Mr. Gatika, can you open your microphone?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Can you hear, sir? Yeah. Thank you so
Yes.
much. I couldn't hear it earlier. So,
Time is yours. Please present
yeah.
your result.
Yeah. Everyone, this is my topic on. I'm from I'm Gitika. I'm from India, northeast part of India, and my topic is basically related to the traditional livelihood and ethnic groups. Reflection on the history and relevance of Indian light permit system in northeast India. This is a policy of my study is basically based on empirical policy that exists still today in some part of this region. So the research that I have done, this is my PhD research work, and I'm working on this policy. Therefore, I just want to start my topic.
I think she went away. Mr. Gidika went away. No, she is here. Mr. Gitika, can you open your microphone?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah, sir. I'm
can
opening. Can
continue.
you hear me, sir?
Yes, we hear. You can
Okay.
continue, please.
Okay. So my topic is traditional livelihood and ethnic groups, reflection on the history and relevance of inner line permit system in Northeast India. I just wanted to give an abstract of my study. The government of India has given much priority to develop the traditional way of living of the ethnic group in India. This article focus on the history and relevance of inland line permit system on the livelihood of the various ethnic groups in Northeast India. The history of inner line permit system was formed with the idea of marking boundaries of certain groups of ethnic communities in this region and its impact on the traditional livelihood. This policy preserves the culture. Yes. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can continue, please.
Okay.
10 to 15 minutes.
This policy,
10 to 15.
preserve the culture, tradition. Belief, custom, social value of this region. Therefore, simply, I just want to tell the meaning of inner line permit system is a travel document. This is a permission of travel document. That is permission of travel document. Any citizen outside this region has to take permission in this region in order to visit this state. Therefore, the simple meaning of this ILP system in India is an official travel document. It is issued by the government of India in order to give permit to the protected area. In Northeast region, the Britishers have put this inner line permit system policy in 3 states, and recently one more state has been protected under this policy. This policy is necessary in order to protect the tribal life of this region. For example, land has been one of the major issue. Therefore, this policy has been preserved the land. Any citizen of India are asked to take permission in visiting this state. Therefore, this historical portion of the inner line permit, I will tell the historical portion of ILP system. The original root of the inner line lies in the Anglo-Burmese War of the 19th century, where the policy was come up under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation, which was passed in the year 1873. Therefore, this regulation was to safeguard the business interests in the of the region by the British Empire. The main reason is to secure the commercial interests, and therefore, when the British protected this area, they need to because in the year 1832, tea became one of the most lucrative industry in this region. Therefore, the tea that we drink today, and in India produce 50% or so much of tea, and this Assam constitute 50% of the tea production. Therefore, the policy occupy in this hill region. Therefore, the traditional the hill tribal whose activities from the inner line regulation was the restriction was first applied to the neighboring state in order to protect the tribal interests by the Britishers. The government of India have empowered to define this portion of the system of as inner line that has been passed in the Scheduled District Act. The Government of India Act 1919 empowered the Government General in Council to declare any territory in this backward trade where law passed by any kind of legislature would not apply. Therefore, the trade should be outside general constitutional arrangement, and it proposed a change of name from backward trade to exclusive area. Even today, after independence, we in this 4 states, we have this policy of inner line permit system, where any citizen outside of this region have to take permission in order to enter in this region. This policy that we exists today is a kind of policy that preserve the rights of the people of the small ethnic groups that live in this region. Therefore, the study was basically based on the policy of inner line permit that exists today in this region. Sir, up to this much I've done.
So, is
so
there
therefore,
any?
it simple means the life protection. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, you can continue, please.
So this simple, the inner line permit has become a line of control to protect this tribal population that live, and majority of this tribal population in this region are Christian, where the imperial British policy have preserved these people, their rights in the land. Therefore, in India, this kind of policy has become an umbrella protection of the inner line of the ethnic groups that live in this territory who enjoy their own autonomy within this region. So up to this much I've done. Sir, up to this much I've done.
You finished, am I right?
Yes, sir. Up to this much I've done.
Thank you very much. Is there any question to Ms. Vitika?
I have one small question for her. Actually, can I ask?
Who is talking?
Aradhana.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know, so India, any effects on COVID-19 in India in the current situation, 2020 and 21?
Yeah, it is not relevant to my topic. My topic is not on COVID. My topic is on the British rule in India. Yeah, and the policy of this. Yeah.
As you say, for the tea falling out for in the Assam, 56% of changing, and the British has come up. So I'm just asking for the current situation, is impact on the tea falling on that area or not? So that's what my question. Otherwise, yeah. Okay.
I just said that. No, please let me explain. I just said that the tea that has produced in India today, it was first planted by the Britishers in the year of 1832. So even when the British left India, tea was a lucrative industry in India today. And Assam, the region where I stay in Northeast region, produce more than 50%. So this is what the policy of inner line farming system come in Northeast India, where the commercial interests were being protected by the Britishers. And today, even after independence, after 1947, India continued to have this inner line farming system policy in some state of my region where I stay. So this region has been protected in our land. So this is what my focus is.
Right. Correct. So I was just, it's not, it's okay, understand. Okay, no worry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Gitika. And now time is for Mr. Ratnesh Diviveti. Are you here? Professor Ratnesh?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear. Just 10 minutes to 15 minutes, please. We have limited time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Sheikh Khan. And as you have reiterated that there are only 10 minutes or 15 minutes for me. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me as a keynote speaker previously in first session yesterday, and then allowing me to present two of my best papers in your prestigious conference. Thank you all the honored scholars and respected delegates, professors, lecturers, scholars from all corner of the world. Though I presented two papers, one on politics and one on linguistics, basically on Indian philosophy and Vedas, today I am going to present a paper which is related with the space and astronomy sciences, which is also my key area of study as a amateur space scientist and astronomy educator who has 7 certifications from National Aeronautics and Space Administration and have done successfully a 3-month course. The topic of my paper is a historical overview of world's largest space agency between its from the year of its inception in 1940 till 2020. The history that was made 50 years back. This paper is actually an exercise as a result of going through the e-libraries of different sections and different centers of NASA, like Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Goddard Space Center, Johnson Space Center, and NASA headquarters in Washington. I will brief a timeline of how the things evolved in area of space sciences when NASA was formulated and when it was competing with Soviet Union, when Soviet Union was credited with many firsts in area of space sciences, like sending first satellites around Earth's orbit, like sending first astronaut or cosmonaut, as it is called in, as it was called in Soviet Union, sending first animal in space, setting up first space station in space. All the... Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can continue.
Okay. So when Soviet Union was credited with many first, NASA was formulated in 1940, and it was earlier based on Cleveland Air Base, from where the first agency, which was called NACA. Previously, before NASA, it was called NACA, National Aerospace Center of America. On November 25th, it came in Cleveland. 1941 groundbreaking ceremony was held. 1942, E. Raymond Sharp officially named laboratory manager on December 1. 1943, first research flight takes place on March 17 with a Martin B-26 airliner. 1944, first test is performed in altitude wind tunnel with a jet engine. 1945, labs first supersonic wind tunnel began operation in June. 1946, post-war visitors include Dwight Eisenhower and many other dignitaries to NASA centers. 1948, in honor of the late George Lewis, the legendary NASA scientist, the lab's name changed to NACA Lewis Flight Propulsion Laboratory. 1949, a 8x6-foot supersonic wind tunnel was inaugurated. 1950, the new types of propulsion systems were inaugurated. 1952, Abe Silverstein is appointed Associate Director of Propulsion System Laboratory. 1953, Lewis conducted full-scale crash tests on twin-engine cargo planes. 1954, Rocket Lab concluded in the lab's first firing of a liquid hydrogen. 1955, Neil Armstrong begins the legendary Neil Armstrong, who first landed on lunar surface, begins his career at Lewis as a NACA test pilot. Remember, that time it was not called NASA. 1957, Lewis Martin B-57B performed first successful flight of hydrogen-powered aircraft. And in 1958, the day came when NASA officially begins operation on October 1, and the AERL becomes Lewis Research Center. 1959, launch of Big Joe capsule for Project Mercury on September 9, and this day President Eisenhower approves official NASA theme, which we see, an emblem which nowadays we see on various Hollywood movies. 1960s, the space program was launched. 1960, Mercury astronaut trained at Lewis Multiple Axis Space Test Interior Facility. 1961, Abe Silverstein named Center's director. 1962, 63, 64, first edition of Lewis News issued on February 28. 1966, Atlas Centaur 8 became the first successful two-burn rocket on April 7. 1968, 9x15-foot low-speed wind tunnel begins operation. 69, Atlas Centaur rockets launched Mariner 6 and 7. And this year, Apollo 11 lands first moon as Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, and Michael Collins on the moon. 1970, quiet engine and loud rockets, research starts. 1970, launch of the second space electric rocket test. 1972, Pioneer 10. 73, nuclear research facility was inaugurated. 74, first successful launch of a Titan Centaur takes place on December 10. And 1980s, the shuttle era. Remember when human beings landed on moon, they traveled all the distance in a spacecraft that those were not reusable. But in 1980s, NASA launched 5 space shuttles: Columbia, Endeavour, Atlantis, Challenger, and Discovery. Those were having capability to be used for 70 to 80 times. Those eras are also gone now, and now NASA is working on spaceships. That is how all the way NASA has traveled. I will request Professor Sher Khan, because I cannot see his video or photograph when I am reading the newspaper. When I am remaining 2 or 3 minutes, he has to voice me. What I mean, he have to speak something that my time I am about to finish my time, allotted time, because I cannot see as of now any person on monitor as I am reading my research paper. So in place of sitting on his watch, he must tell me that I am about to finish my schedule. The second thing which I want to highlight about the NASA is its just a minute. The interesting story which was telecast live during the landing of Apollo 11, that almost 1 million people gathered on the beaches of Central Florida to witness first-hand launch of Apollo 11, while more than 500 million people around the world watched the event live on television. Which the record is still unbroken. No political, scientific, social event has been watched at one go, which could have broken the record of Apollo 11 landing. The astronauts' day on July 16, 1969 began with a 4 a.m. wake-up call from Chief of the Astronaut Office, Donald K. J.K. Slayton. After the traditional pre-lunch breakfast with Slayton and backup CMP William A. Anders, the crew members donned their space suits and took the Astro-1 to Kennedy Space Center. That is how they started their day during the launch of Apollo 11. And rest is the story how they negotiated the distance from Earth to Moon. Edwin Aldrin remained in the capsule, the lander, not the capsule, the lander. Neil Armstrong landed on Moon, while Michael Collins remained in the capsule orbiting around the Earth. So Michael Collins never landed on the lunar surface out of the three. Edwin Aldrin landed, however, on the lunar surface, but he remained inside the capsule. Only Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. That is how this whole story unfolded. So this is how I wanted to discuss about one of the most significant event of space science, the landing of moon. Since then, many events have unfolded. Many milestones have been set up by NASA. Like now, as of now, NASA has at least one mission to every planet of the solar system, whether it is Venus, Mercury, Earth, Moon, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Pluto, everywhere NASA has at least one mission to every planet. Apart from this, NASA is the only space body which has sent a mission to Sun to study the solar wind. And apart from that, after Soviet Union, NASA is the only space agency which has set up International Space Station. Apart from this, it's Hubble space. Hubble telescope can peep into the center of the universe. So there are so many first and milestones. Nowadays, private space agencies are coming in picture. Many space agencies from Middle East, Europe are competing. Indian Space Research Organization, Chinese Space Agency, Soviet Space Agency, ESA, that is European Space Agency, they all are competing. And space science, I will again reiterate what legendary scientist Stephen Hawking once had said, that if mankind ever needs to migrate, it will have to migrate not in distant future, but in very near future. And we are seeing what is happening to our Earth due to destruction in ozone layer, due to carbon emission, due to environmental imbalance, due to different kind of natural and man-made hazards, catastrophes. So Earth, in one line, I want to say Earth as of now is unable to bear the burden of mankind. And if mankind have to survive, it have to migrate to some other planet or have to heavily cut down its luxurious needs. Only then we will be able, only then mankind will be, our generations in future will be able to survive on Earth. Otherwise, the kind of torture, trauma, and destruction mankind is applying on Earth, it's not going to be in distant future, but in very near future when we have to look for another planet for our inhabitants. Thank you, Professor Said Khan, once again for giving me a time, inviting me as a keynote speaker, allowing me to present my three of best research papers. Thank you very much. Any question? I am open.
Thank you very much. I think there is question of Mr. Afsan. Is he here? Yes. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Afsan, you
Hello,
can
Doctor.
ask your question.
Okay, sir. Doctor, it's Abzal from Pakistan. Yesterday you presented your paper, sir. So at that time I was asking the question, but due to the time limitation, I could not ask, sir. So I'll ask it now, sir. Sir, in last presentation, you were praising India so much, especially the Modi and the BJP, sir. My first question is that India is claiming to be the world largest democracy. In recent Modi's now, it is more like a fascist government, and the different communities of India, like Hindus and Muslims, and more are more intolerant to each other. For example, you can I have yesterday said this, and today I'm also saying that, for example, you cannot chant Jai Shri Ram in Bengal. You cannot speak against Uday Thackeray in Maharashtra. You cannot go and eat a cow in Uttar Pradesh in the Yogi CM-ship. So what's happening to the India under the nose of Modi? Do we call it a true democratic country, or it's a bit like a fascist government? This is my first question, sir. And my second question is, sir, that why the Indian politics generally and especially BJP is moving around Pakistan. For example, if someone want to get in power, they started bashing Pakistan. So is there any so why it is so, especially BJP? And sir, for example, and sir, one another thing, is there any chance is there any chance of dialogue between the Modi administration and the Imran Khan administration over Kashmir issues in the recent times? Sir, thank you so much.
Okay, I will answer your first question first. See, each country in today's time, I will brief you a bit about India's geopolitical scenario. In 1991, then Congress government opened up gates for liberalization policy or globalization, by the means of which many multinational companies, many even in information and broadcasting sector, many television channels, many media houses beamed inside India, and they started broadcasting from India. Multinationals started operating from India. That was called globalization or liberalization in India. Indian youth of different sectors, like from IITs, IIMs, they got 6-7 digit salary, high salary per month, and that allowed them not to migrate to America or Europe, but to stay in India, in cities like Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore and Hyderabad. So they all started having great jobs. Even a simple B.Tech from engineering college, B-grade in engineering college in India, not the IIT, not the so top institutions. They all got good high earning jobs. That was a result of globalization. But it brought something which is called social divide. On one side, there were a creamy layer who had high earning, high social status, and there was rural India where there were many left out. So Prime Minister Modi's aim when he came in power in 2014, his aim was Antyodaya. That means well-being of the last man standing in the queue. Last man means the poorest of the poor, the most the person who does not have anything, well-being of that person. That was the aim of Modi. And you wouldn't believe, as of now, Modi government has launched 225 projects all across India. And if you get a chance to come to India, just minus this 1.5 years of pandemic, which is, I don't know whether man-made or natural. India was marching ahead towards a very positive atmosphere. But while you say that there are some religious concerns or the social concerns in different pockets of India, this is happening all across the world. You might have seen Antifa rioters in America. You might have seen refugee crisis in Europe, where European countries were almost applying inhuman torture on refugees from Syria and other places. So there are concerns everywhere. But all in all, Modi government has lived up to the dream of 1.3 billion Indians. And the way, you wouldn't believe, the way our previous Prime Minister have extended hands of friendship. This is in reply to your second question. The way our previous Prime Ministers have extended hands of friendship towards Pakistan. And for this, you are saying why Indian politics is circling around Pakistan. Same is happening in Pakistan. You know, the three centers of power in Pakistan, their survival depends on anti-India narrative. And why it is happening in both countries? The root is in 1947. The British, when they left India, they very cleverly divided India in two parts, which was later on divided in three parts. I will not go in detail. They very cleverly divided. They played a religious card between Hindu and Muslims. They divided India in two parts. So India's 50% concentration remains on Pakistan. While I openly have said this, India's enemy is not Pakistan. India's enemy is the same, which is enemy of Pakistan, the poverty, the ill education, the illiteracy, the economic growth, jobs, and that is where Narendra Modi government is working. The second part of the question is that dialogue. Dialogue, all the previous prime ministers have opened a channel of dialogue with Pakistani counterparts. But in return, there has been different story of betrayal. So dialogue, yes, Professor Sheikh Khan, I'm finishing. Peace is ultimate objective for any democracy, and that must prevail, but not on the grounds of national security. Each country is sovereign, and that is why I think this is the block between the dialogue between India and Pakistan, national security. I hope you are clever enough, smart enough, intelligent enough to understand what I mean to say. This is land of Mahatma Gandhi. You are land of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Peace must prevail, but not on the grounds of national security. Because maybe you are our brother, you may be our good neighbor, but at least you are also a sovereign country, and we are also a sovereign country. So national security must prevail, and ultimately, if there will be a stable situation, both the countries will allow for dialogue. But that is not in my hand. That is in hands of government.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. We hope that dialogue will solve the problems between countries. Now our next presentation is Najmi Aymer. Professor Najmi?
Okay.
Okay, we can hear you.
Yes.
You can share your screen. We give permission. Okay.
Okay. How are you, everybody?
Your voice is too low.
Yes, okay. Can I start?
Yes, you can start, but can you open your microphone? Because your voice is too low.
My title, Oil Prices Shocks and the Global Economic Policy Uncertainty Index.
Can you talk, Rodri? Can you talk broadly, please?
Okay.
Okay, we can hear you. Please start. 10 to 15 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you. Oil price shocks and global economic policy uncertainty. This research aims to study the asymmetric effects of the oil price on the economic policy uncertainty index during period Q1 1997 until Q4 2020 by nonlinear Ardel model by Shell. Therefore, our first contribution is the asymmetry of the impact of the asymmetric of crude oil price on global economic policy uncertainty index will for the role of the volatility index VIX. As shown in figure, the crude oil price climbed to the back in uncertain rate since 2007 and suffers from large decline in 2008. At the same time, economic policy uncertainty sharply decreases and rebound after 2008. In addition, economic policy uncertainty showed the opposite trend to oil price most of the time. This the most important event is for international oil price or prices. Our knowledge, there is no empirical study examining the asymmetric effects of oil price and EBU index with the framework of configuration. The richer identifying oil price shocks, positive and negative, is limited. Essentially, in the analysis, we estimate the positive and negative of oil price shocks will have similarly effects on EBU in a long run. Our study aims to answer the following question. First, if different influences exist, how are these different effects of oil price shocks on economic policy uncertainty explained? Second, how important is the impact of positive and negative shocks of oil price on economic policy uncertainty index? Finally, is the configuration relationship non-cyclical or either of the usual kind or field but degraded? The variables used as our model are global economic policy uncertainty index and volatility index and international oil prices. non-Ardel model by Bessiran 2001. This is a question. To study the symmetric effects of both long and short run linear in relationship between variables, we use non-Ardel technique. The step one ensure all variables are integrated of order first difference with order less than 2 and determine the lag structure of the model selected and estimate the model ensure residual are serial correlated and home secreton, and test bound test. The bound test estimate the error correction model. The long-run asymmetric of variables is tested using wall test. Reject null hypothesis, asymmetric, meaning asymmetric relationship. They study asymmetric effects between oil price and EBU. We use the methodology by chain as shown in a question. The short and long asymmetric of oil price and on EBU can describe it, show in a question. This is a question. Unit root tests all variables is stationary in first difference. Estimate the configuration relationship non-linear Ardel model. Short-run coefficient and long-run coefficient for three variables. The result, the short-run result showed that the estimate parameters of positive oil price has a statistical significant negative effects on the EBU index. We conclude that a 1% increase positive oil price would increase the EBU by 80%. And the positive oil price may be among the most important drivers of EBU in short run. Well, there is no significant effect of negative oil price on EBU. In case in long run, we conclude that a negative 1% decrease in oil price result in 14% decrease in EBU. Will there no significant impact of positive oil price on EBU? An important conclusion can drawn from this result in both cases, negative and positive. We note that the effect of positive oil price in the long run is much greater than the impact of negative oil price in short run. The error correction model that coefficient is negative and statistically significant at 1%, which indicates that there is a statistical significant relationship between the variable in the long run. We also note that the effect on the volatility index is positive on EBU. When increasing the volatility index by 1%, it will lead to an increase in economic uncertainty by 82 in a long run. Bound tests if statistic equal 20.35 is greater than upper critical value. Therefore, we reject null hypothesis. There is long run equilibrium relationship between variables. And the t-test bound, the absolute value of t statistic equal 9.2 and greater than the upper critical value. We reject null hypothesis, the relationship either of the usual kind or veiled but degraded. They study the kind of configuration relationship is the usual kind or veiled but degraded. To study the kind of configuration relationship, the first case, the independent variables are significant, but the legate level of the dependent variable is insignificant. Will the second case, the legate level of the dependent variable is significant, but for the legate level in the independent variable are insignificant. indicates that local relationship is a usual relationship and not degraded relationship. Wild long-run estimate tests and wild short-run estimate symmetric tests. The result symmetric test of wild the null hypothesis symmetric, meaning that the positive and negative shocks in oil prices do not have an asymmetric effect on EBU index in long run. And in short run, reject null hypothesis as symmetric, meaning that positive and negative shocks oil prices have an asymmetric effects on EBU index. In short run, the impact of positive oil price shocks is greater than negative oil price shocks. In general, we can conclude that dynamic also supported the symmetric effects oil price on EBU in non-Ardel model estimate. Diagnostic testing all tests presented is stable confirm the reliability of the non-Ardel model estimate. And further COSM and COSM square graphs also confirm the stability of the coefficient in the model. Conclusion and recommendation, there is a long-run equilibrium relationship between two variables, economic policy uncertainty index and independent variables for oil prices, negative and positive. And this relationship, local relationship from usual kind and non degraded relationship. In short run, the positive oil price shocks has statistical significant negative effects on the EBU index, while there is no significant effect of negative oil price shocks on economic policy uncertainty. And the longer run, the negative oil price shock has significant negative effect on EBU index, while there is no significant impact the positive oil price shocks on EBU. We note that the effect oil prices increases in the long run is much greater than impact of lower oil prices in the short run. We found a strong advice of long run estimate symmetric indicators that the EBU is more sensitive to oil price shocks. We found strong evidence that negative shocks may have a greater absolute effect in the long, while positive shocks may have greater absolute effect in the short run. This indicates a time variant estimate. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Najmi Aymer. Is there any question? I think there is no other question. We thought that Mr. Birar Ahmet presented the research of Shaziye Gür, Birkes Nazır, the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. What we understood that it is not presented. Mr. Shaziye Gür, we are sorry for this mistake. Please present your research.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is it visible? So is my presentation visible?
Yes. Yes, it is visible. Please continue.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity you gave us. So my present topic is impact of COVID-19 pandemic on psychological health of elderly population in Kashmir Valley. First of all, a brief introduction about this global coronavirus. As we know, this coronavirus was first detected in December 2019 near seafood market in China. So this pandemic has created havoc in the world. According to World Health Organization, they declared that the outbreak of COVID-19 constituted a public health emergency of international concern. And we have came across the studies that this disease is very infectious, as this epidemic has reported a vast disaster in humans. And to know about it and to have perceive its knowledge is very essential. So our brief first our concern should be to know about its awareness, its risk, and other factors which are involved with it. So if we see, the vast literature is available about COVID-19 pandemic, and recent studies on the COVID-19 pandemic show that knowledge, perceived controllably optimistic belief, emotions, and risk perception might all account for the precautionary measures in public. It was reported that COVID-19 infection has unprecedented negative effect on the elderly people living in the society. So according to research, it has been seen that the elderly people are most prone to the disease because of the abnormalities in their body, like hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, some other chronic kidney diseases, and chronic respiratory diseases. As the elders are more prone to these diseases, so the chances of their hospitalization is more. As reported by the various workers, that the elders are 3 times more at the risk of danger than the lower age groups. So the current COVID-19 pandemic has significant psychological, psychosocial impact on the elderly population living in the society, mostly which has resulted in this anxiety, panic attacks or disorders, depression, chronic stress, and insomnia in adults. According to the various reporters, there is a social contentness in vital during the public health breakdown. So there's a factor like we say ageism, because adult people are more prone to these infectious diseases. So the mortality rate in them is higher as we trigger towards the old age. And COVID-19 cases has increased due to negligence of medical help or helplessness of the common people, as this disease is very contagious and most of the people try to be aloof during the attack when the people are suffering from the COVID-19. And mostly in case of elderly people, they are more prone and are less attractive to the society, so they become more prone to this infectious diseases. So the present work was the small attempt with 2 main objectives, that is to assess the awareness, attitude, and practices of elders towards the COVID-19, and to focus second objective was to focus the gender differences in the psychological health among the elders. For this, the methodology which was used, where the questionnaire consists of 400 elderly people, in which 200 were male and 200 female, and we designed the questionnaire, which was by using a randomized stratified technique, and we used this questionnaire, which was pre-tested, to know the psychological health of the elderly population. And the data was analyzed by using SPSS software at the level of significance of 5%, and the sample size was calculated by using the formula of the Cochrane, which we gave in 1997. If we see the problems which today we are perceiving, first of all, we have the outbreak of this pandemic, and due to which most of the people had to stay at home. Which resulted in the various financial losses and the social problems in which the person is suffering, like it resulted in the social stress, it resulted in the numerous health problems, dysfunction of the social developments, and mostly the main factor of the stress was the quarantine, when the person has to remain quarantined for a huge time and he's having no social gathering or no other places where he can visit. So there resulted the psychological impact on the humans, by which their psychology had ruined themselves, as the negative thought came to their minds, and they had always in their mind that they can die anytime, or maybe if they will catch the COVID, is a medical facility available to them. Many thoughts come to their mind, which has resulted in the psychological imbalance in them. And most of things, if we see in our research paper, we can see when the study was carried, first our objective revealed that majority of the respondents under study were illiterate, and among them 62% of the males and 73%, 73.5% were having the family greater than 8 males, and most of them were from the joint families, and where male constituted about 57% and female 69%. From the middle class, it was 91%, and female it was 92% in the major study. And if we see the activities or the interests which dropped by the respondents during the pandemic, the community gathering was seen more in females, and that was decreased about 91%. Income of the was decreased 79.5%. Traveling was decreased. And this graph is showing in two different colors among the females and males, the different aspects like traveling, market visit, medical help, and relative houses. If we see the frequency of boringness during the COVID-19 situation, we saw most of the people were getting boredom whole day, and 62.5% of the people were getting bored whole day, and frequently only 28% and 33% of the people which were getting frequently bored at their homes, and rarely there were people who were getting bored with a percentage of about 9.5 and 13.5. And if we see, the media played a crucial role, because media played a significant role in showing the various news and various other actions by which the psychologically person was perceiving the negative thoughts because of seeing the mortality rate, or the seeing not availability of oxygen cylinders, non-availability of hospital beds, due to which the stress level was very high in the people. If we see, 64.5% of the people were among the stress. And then the fourth figure showed the distribution of study people as a vaccination, showed that most of the people went for the vaccination drives, mass vaccination. About 73.5 people were ready to get vaccinated during this COVID pandemic. This in concluding the study, we can say that the current study was conducted in the Kashmir Valley was a unique sense, because it impacted on the elderly people found in the area. In this group discussion, we found that half of the respondents experienced the anxiety. So most 50% of the population among the elders were having the stress levels very high. If we see, the study reveals that most of the people have stopped the community gathering, they had decreased income, and they have reduced the market visits. And elderly mostly prefer to stay at home, and elders mostly want to see the COVID-free society. The people dream now to have the COVID-free society so that they can move easily like it was before. And they suggest most of the people to go for the mass vaccination. Thank you so much. Any questions?
We thank you, Professor. Is there any question? It is seen that there is no question.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Ahmet Aptar, are you here?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. I am audible?
Okay. Now you can start. Okay, we see your PowerPoint.
Okay, it is audible, sir?
Yes, it is seen.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. 10 to 15 minutes, please.
Okay, sir. Okay, I will finish in time. Okay, sir. So myself, Abdal Ahmed from Uttarakhand, India, basically presenting my paper, Impact of Green Product Marketing on Consumer Buying Decision in India. It's a based on secondary data, basically. and I am a research scholar basically in Department of Management, Uttarakhand, India. I am presenting this paper with my supervisor and co-authors basically. First of all, we should go through what is green marketing basically. Whatever we consume and what is presumed to be environmentally friendly and safe shows sustainable growth in the environment is known as green marketing basically. What we can say that the product we can reuse or what we can reduce or what it can be eco-friendly or somewhat it should be organic, reusable, biodegradable, or somewhat eco-friendly packaging, and etc. Many concepts are being attached with green marketing today over the world basically. Then we will come to the literature review basically. Whereas this green revolution has entered basically in India in 1960s, okay, whereas it was related to agriculture. At that time we were not concerned about green marketing, but in 1975 American Marketing Association holded a workshop on ecological marketing. Then the concept reaches in India in 15 years basically 1990s. At the end of 90s it was somewhat prominent, and companies are making aware, whereas government are also taking initiatives to make aware the green concept with the consumption of products basically. Whereas since then we are in India developing, and many organizations are taking steps to control somewhat related to environment, and even the governments are also taking interest and making rules and regulations which are related to laws in India to reduce all these things related to consumption. Further, the objective of the paper is to know the green marketing concept in India, at what level it is going on, whereas the strategies made by the organization to make aware consumers, like to meet the demands, they have to somewhat give the demands upliftment by this eco-friendly concept, okay. Whereas we have to investigate the eco-friendly products over the conventional products also, whereas eco-friendly is considered as an expensive product as per the conventional products. But many of the companies in India or all over the world is taking concern and making somewhat economical products which can be purchased by even the middle class families also. Whereas it will be the paper will somewhat give a clarification about the participation of public government and government participation to sustain the environment development. Whereas we will come to the next point, that is green buying behavior. What is green buying behavior? It is same as the behavior which define the consumption. Basically the consumptions of green products which is less harmful to the environment and which is not even harming to environment. These are called somewhat green consumer behaviors basically. As somewhat related to corporate social responsibility, it relates to corporate social responsibility also, whereas companies are somewhat in COVID also they are looking into that particular thing, as they should not produce somewhat harmful products, or somewhat it should be natural products, and they are performing their corporate social responsibilities. Whereas many organization, these are some of Indian organization, those are performing somewhat green marketing in India, that is Fab India, who has started the concept of this green marketing in India. Whereas all total, I would say now in pandemic 90 to 99% companies are going through these problems, and the consumption is majorly done for eco-friendly products only. Whereas many have been fined, many companies have been fined by government to follow that particular rules and regulation. Whereas State Bank of India, basically not even now, not only one bank, each and every bank is somewhat going through these type of criterias like paperless banking due to COVID, basically no deposit slip and other things, whereas less paper has been used in somewhat digital marketing or somewhat digital preference of this COVID system also. Whereas many introductions of apps have been done, and these type of apps have been given by many companies to somewhat have paperless banking and somewhat touchless banking also. Whereas coming to somewhat government initiatives regarding the green marketing, whereas Forest and Environment Ministry of India has ordered to retail outlets like Big Bazaar, More Reliance, and many more that they could provide polythene carry bags to customers only if customers are ready to pay the fines. It means that if on your basis you can use your polythene bags if you want to have somewhat pay the fines as per the rules and regulations. Whereas challenges are there in somewhat providing somewhat green product marketing in somewhat in India. We can talk about that the green product require renewable and recycled material with which is costly. Basically the machinery is very costly, the chemicals or somewhat to dispose of chemicals, it needs somewhat R&D regarding that. It is somewhat we are into it but not up to it. Basically require technological which require investment and R&D. Majority of people are not aware of green products and their use. Basically the thing is that many of the listeners now only they are not able to get the green product concept. Even now when I was speaking like this this basically green products is not looking green. Basically it should give output green. Basically it is eco-friendly, it should be not giving any adverse effect to environment, etc. Basically now coming to my conclusion, basically consumer behavior plays a major role in the choice of green products. The marketers of the green product services need to be more innovative and dynamic to compete with the changing purchase behavior among customer. Basically this is the conclusion that I have been given on the basis of talking to some professors and assistant professors and company, and I have already worked with some companies. Basically we usually come to the end that it will take somewhat time to somewhat have a green product initiative in India, but many of the people are looking into these type of concepts. Thank you for giving us chance to present our paper from India. Thank you, sir. Any question?
We thank you, Mr. Aptar Ahmed. Is there any question?
Sir, can I ask one question?
Of course.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just wanted to know, as you have done a lot of research and we are working on the same in India as well as, so can you just share your view? What do you believe in rural and urban, which is most affected area through the sustainable development?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That is very interesting question because as a India, as we concerned about India, it is a big concept basically. Okay, the scope is very big, and we have divided somewhat rural and urban areas. Whereas in urban, this concept is somewhat going through very well basically. But in rural areas, we are not able to explain them as they say that we are already attached with that natural calamities basically. Okay, whereas we are already going through and we are using the naturals product, so it will take time, but one day everyone of us basically all over the world, or somewhat we are now concerned about India basically for the development, we have to look into these concepts which usually save our environment. Okay, and whereas the consumption should not give any drawback basically.
No, my question was, it is more affected on urban area or rural area?
It is Nowadays, it is more affected on urban areas basically. It will be doing somewhat as I am a researcher basically, and I am living in Dehradun, Uttarakhand. It is a small part of northern region, and I am going through very what should I say, that in rural areas they do not know what is green. Even in urban areas they do not know what is green marketing basically, what is green products basically. They usually think that looking to that product it should be green. So it is a long concept and difficult concept, but it is working in urban areas basically.
Thank you for your question. Keep on touch. We have a lot of work there.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We thank you, Mr. Aptar Ahmed. Now, I think Mr. Bobul Sobirov is not here. Bobul Sobirov, not here. So, Professor Aratana Kumar, you have presentation, the impact of technology change on global platform. Now, your time, please present your research.
Sure. So I'm sharing my slide. Can you give me the permission?
I give permission.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'm very privileged to being a part on the sudden and urgent movement that presenting my paper one day before we have committed in all these things. So without any delay, I'll just continue my papers about the impact of technology change in the global platform. As I'm presenting my paper from the Netherlands, as we were working on the effect on COVID-19 and what are the scenario that happens and how this technology global comes together with in regular human behavior. So first of all, that we will just introduce all about our paper, that the key problem of the society today are it's not regularly categorized by the government and their economics, their science, their technology, that changing day by day. But for sure that we are thinking about that, is there any technology effect on the current business line or current economic? As you said, everything is in behind on the technology, as we are talking about here, the help of a technology. So yes, of course, technology somewhere it is very helpful and it is really reliable for everybody, but somehow this is also a demerit that can decrease the employment, as everybody know. But the decrease the employment is also concern about the economical side, how this employment will concern to uplifting of the employment. So it is discovered that countries have technologies now, technology innovation in the global effective, and their change organization, production, trade market, investment capital, so many ways that companies have changed both the side. It is on interdependent side and the another side for the national side. So this is all over the impact of how more technology change and estimated the short range of a crisis dominated problem, monopolies, and the world leader, how they changes, and these things how impact on the coming future of any of the market, whether it is in Asian market, European market, or US market. Now every world is that is crying just because of that COVID pandemic. It's not particular, we would like to share that this country is pretty happy because everyone is first looking for their sustainable. So technology is the most vital impact in current scenario on the global platform to take the action and adaptability enhancement as of the organization together, their workforce employment in work from home, or maybe an external relationship with the logistics, supply chain, healthcare industry, or any other education industry. And so many industry have now adopting the technology, and this is quite helpful for everyone in the every scenario in every part of the business, which is current scenario changing day by day. But if we can see about one of the worldwide special patent extended innovation, how this technology come together with the another effect in the market, that we can say the China, India, Turkey are the few, are Japan and Korea is the world essential indicator of innovation that everybody know. But still few of the country trying to invent a new patent filing through the effect of a technology. And the new market area of the China, India and Turkey, they are doing a very good in the new segment of research in technology, and they have filing the good patent in their country. So as you might be heard about that, how technology have changed in the farming structure, how AI come into the picture, how machine learning come into the picture, robotics and everything. If we are talking about the agriculture segmentation, without any technology, how can we rapidly change our demand and the market without the technology? So somewhere, somehow, technology will be very helpful to check the soil containment, to check the demand of the supply chain, demand of the market. Somewhere technology also change on the government rule and regulation. How did we know about the COVID vaccine is really helpful or not? Without AI, how can it is possible to produce a bulk of this vaccination? So everywhere, if we can see, the technology has impacted. Again, the opportunity, we all are surviving on this. Everybody is quiet, and but whoever are entered into this market, that lot of opportunity behind even in COVID-19 pandemic. Nowadays, almost 800 million people are the world today. Is the food security should be in front line of technology uses. And now in this COVID-19 is still US in the first top economics grower country. How? Why not we all are thinking about this? Technology is helpful for us, and this can be helpful for our economic. So somehow we need to think, and we need to catch on our opportunity in and around all the segmentation in all the sector. It's not completely this belong, like I am from the IT background, then only I will using the technology, or this will be the helpful for me. It is not. We all are not completely from the IT background, but still in academic are using the IT technology. Zoom is itself is a global impact. Google Meet is also as itself is a Google, it's a largest impact. And the other Cisco platform, as you can see, again a global impact. So from which, why not we are thinking to rapidly change on every structure, whether it is in daily uses or whether it is in professional uses. So it's depend on you how we adapt our technology through the regular work, and that can be also impactful in our global economic. If we are talking about that, another example that in India that there is a unique system of a Aadhaar card, that people should have to be carry their Aadhaar, since in Netherlands we have to carry that our unique DZ number, and the same as it is in India that the Aadhaar card you should carry. So that means this opportunity again, how millions of jobs come over in this Aadhaar card. Have you ever think about this technology impact somewhere in job system? But we always think about the government job. Government job is a one opportunity to take this, higher side, and it is a huge population in a country, growing country like India, and there we're fighting for the job everywhere. So why not we are thinking something else to get the job, and just to straight less of the employment. So these things we need to think, and kind of things that create a millions of job in this the one country. If you are talking about the country called China, Canada, they all are taking advantage of new technology to develop their clean energy sector, which is the highest rate of employment generation on this segmentation. And they mostly success of the electric passenger car in China. And in fact, in the Netherlands and other European cities also, now they are introducing the electric car which is fully automated. And that's also depend on these technology impact. You maybe heard about the automobile sector, the name called of a Tesla. Now it's introducing in the India itself, but a huge demand in Europe, mostly on this part. People love to say, just because of tax is also low. So why not people are using some technology or electrician? Why should we pay 50% of direct tax? So this kind of a technology is somewhere affected in both the segmentation, whether it is a good side, whether it is a bad side. So we must to think, and we will use it smartly. Again, the technology impact, if we can see the energy of science segmentation, history segmentation, to calculating and to researching about the details, ethics of human rights, peace, security, job, so many things comes into the technology. If we can go inside that, AI is a vital role play at this moment everywhere. If you can see in Amazon or maybe on Coolblue, which is in Europe mostly, and Amazon is worldwide, people are using that chat boxes, using the AI system. Facebook know about everything. That again is the technology impact, and we know that this is not good to know everything about us, but still this is a one kind of a positive sign, and lot of employment generation from that side. Again, if we can say the concern of digital world as a woman access to making a use of internet is a limited, deterred by pre-existing stereotypic believing. So the number of using the internet is 12% less than a man. Of an average, it is 31% lower in the less development country. So this study is all over. It's not particular about the one country. This is a common for the world impact actually. So again, if we can see the economic growth, as previous slide have somebody has presented about the green product, which is altogether of economic friendly, the environment friendly, we can say the green product, which is that doesn't mean should be the green, as he had already explained, I think. But here again, we can see the more profit margin for any country in this for the recycle and the green product. As now, why European countries is so green in the world scenario, just because of they are using everything recycle, and there in this recycle their believing is nowadays it's an impact of the economic growth and again the environmental safety. So I think so these two is a very good topic for the next researcher or next area of a study of innovation, creative human welfare, sharing knowledge, taking up the chances for the building relationships, sustainable development, welfare development, biogas sustainables, green product, etc. As per my suggestion about the global study, promote multidisciplinary procedure to research, inspire corporations between the social and nature science, drawing the training from the arts nearby knowledge structures, inspire a holistic technique to problem fixing, and that take into the account sensible range of a social economic situation and affect in addition to a couple of a time, space, scale in which appropriate. Sell the inclusion of scientists from a useful resource negative international location worldwide, and plan the project and maximize the entry of statics in the era according to your study. Policymakers have also one of the more vital role to encourage to align the technology benefit with national priorities and international development agenda. So this is about all about my topic. And as recently as we see the impact, what are the positive impact, if we can say smooth trade, impact on advertisement, medical research, and so many where we are thinking, we are looking around the world it change. So this is all about my topic. If anybody have any kind of a questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much. Is there any question? I think there is no question. Is there any presentations we forgot to give time? I think there is not. So thank you very much for all presenters and participants. We completed our session today, and afternoon we have Turkish session. This is English session, and in the afternoon we will have Turkish session. Thank you very much. Hope to meet you again in our congresses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheikhan sir.